Yeah. Welcome back to another Ivy League Mindset podcast. We're here with Dan, Jillian Best, and Bonnie Di Bernardo. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. So we're going to get into a little bit about their background, and Jillian's been here a few times talking about this similar things, so we'll start with Bonnie here. So can you talk a little bit about HHT? I can't say the full version of it, but...
It's, yes, it's hereditary hemorrhagic telangiectasia. So hereditary means that we've passed down through the family.
Mm-hmm.
And like hemorrhagic is like something that hemorrhages, so it's like the blood vessels in our certain areas of our body will hemorrhage.
Mm-hmm.
And telangiectasia is also like that area of the body that's rupturing and causing bleeding, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding.
So that people know, Jillian and Bonnie are mother and daughter, so they both have HHT. When did you find out that you had HHT?
When I was 48, 20 years ago, I got sick, and my mom had been diagnosed with HHT, and she had HHT in her lungs. And so I started getting sick. It was all abdominal and GI system problems. So they didn't connect it
Mm-hmm.
because they were so seemingly different. But it was actually my aunt. She was always on the internet, like this was a while back, right? And she was always researching and...
Did your aunt have it too?
No, but she just, I don't know, she just
That's
tried
what
to figure it out, and she actually did.
Yeah.
And so we kind of suggested it to my doctor.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, that it might be HHT. Like she was like, I think you've got HHT. And I was like, okay, well, because my mom had it, they checked into it,
Mm-hmm.
and they did. You know, of course, it takes a long time for them to do testing, and meanwhile, you're getting sicker. But anyway, they finally eventually came up with the diagnosis. So it took about 2 years.
Yeah, that's crazy to figure it, like, thanks to your aunt to
Yeah,
figure it
it
out,
was
right?
kind of quirky.
I remember Jillian saying that they didn't have the name of it for your mother back then.
Well, they had a different name for it, Oscar Weber-Rendau syndrome, and I guess those are the names of this.
Okay, was that the
doctors
same thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same thing, and they were just starting to
Figure out what she had though.
figure
Yeah.
out what she had, and it was her family doctor actually that figured it out. Really, really smart, doctor that took an interest,
Mm-hmm.
and she actually thought, yeah, I think you've got it. So there was luckily we have our specialist is in Toronto.
Yeah.
There's an HHT center in Toronto. There's one in Vancouver and I think Montreal, and that's
Wow.
it.
Okay.
So we're close,
Yeah.
relatively close.
So with HHT, you had to have a liver transplant 2 times. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was your first time?
When? In
Yes.
2004.
2004. Okay.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah. And then again 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same time, 2 weeks
It's
apart.
exactly
from
the same
Jillian's?
time as Jill's.
Yeah. Wow. That must have been.
That was difficult and very odd that it sort of happened that way, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's
You
the
were
way it
probably
turned out.
worrying about her and.
Oh, it was brutal, like trying to be a mom and take care of your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was probably doing the same thing with me, trying to help me. So we were both kind of struggling. And then they told me I had mine first when my liver came along, and I was completely surprised.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that she would get it first,
Yeah.
but it didn't turn out that way. So
Is there a certain way, like, process on how they pick and choose who gets what?
There's a system, a scoring system
Mhm.
that they use to measure how ill you are. It's called a MELD score.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the MELD stands for, but unfortunately it doesn't always reflect how sick the patient really is. So, for example, I was really sick. I could have used a transplant much sooner. We all could, really. But the scoring system gives you a number, and it seems to be like when you reach a certain point, you get to be at the top of the list. So there's like a list, and there's different blood types. So we would be on the same list, like overall, but we have different blood types. So like the liver that came available for her wouldn't have worked for me.
I see.
So it's not like I could have taken it.
Yeah, I'm sure
I wanted to give it to
her.
her.
100%. I was good.
Even though I couldn't, I wanted her to have that. But you don't have time. Like they told me at 5:30 in the evening, and then I was in the operating room the next morning at 8 a.m.
Did Jillian know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
sure. I was sitting on her hospital bed when they came and told me.
Oh, my goodness.
I was in the hospital,
Yeah.
and she was actually at home, but came in the hospital to
Yeah.
visit me.
Yeah.
And then our transplant coordinator came in and sat on the bed with us and was talking to us for like
While you're here.
We were chatting away.
for like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then finally there was a moment of silence, and she turned to Mom and she said, "Bonnie, I have something for you." And right away I knew what, and you were like, what? And I'm like,
What could that be?
Yeah.
and that was a whole moment in itself.
That was a whole
because
moment.
Mom
I just looked at her like,
Wow.
no.
because she
Yeah.
wanted me to have mine
Yeah.
first.
And Jill just went, Mom,
Yeah.
I need you, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
to be here
With the
for
little
me.
energy I have.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to you. I need you to be there for me when I have my transplant. So you go get it, and so that you're available for me when I have mine.
Yeah.
And I
just-
think that was the kick in the butt.
I
you
think
needed
it was
to
because I
go
just,
for it.
yeah, you had to anyway, right?
Yeah.
No choice.
It's not like I
And
could
it's-
have taken it. So.
No, and it turned out really well.
Before I talk about your relationship with each other before, during, and after, can you talk about your mindset now after you've had a successful liver transplant twice? Like after the first one, I'm sure that you really appreciated life, but after your second one, can you tell me your thoughts on how you live life? Like I've known you probably 10 years now,
Yeah.
over 10 years,
Yeah,
through the YMCA, and
right.
I've always seen you super happy, super strong, and it's cool to hear your thoughts on how you live life.
After my first transplant, I was on cloud 9 for months and months. Like I was just like crazy, ultra living my life. And then things settle, they settle into normalcy. But after the second transplant, I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I was on that high, but I was so amazingly grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
Just to be alive, and just to be able to come back to my life. Like it's something. It's kind of, it's spiritual in a way. Like something's happening behind the scenes, to keep to support you.
Yeah.
And I felt very supported, and again, just so thankful to be alive. Thinking about the opportunity to have 2 transplants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just one, but 2.
Yeah.
It's very special.
Yeah. Now, the viewers can't see this, or they might hear it, but I can feel, like, every time I'm around you, I could feel that you're super grateful. You have a great aura around you, right?
Thanks.
So that's why I love talking to you and seeing you, right? It makes me reflect even. Do you reflect often on?
Yes. Probably every day.
Yeah, that's good.
Like just to think, just in quiet times. Like I try, I'm not perfect, but I do try a meditation practice every day. And of course it comes up.
Yeah.
At least at the beginning of that that time, that I'm just quiet and reflective and
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to your relationship with Jillian here.
Yeah.
How was it before, during, because the second transplant there was around the same time as hers, and after? How was that relationship growing, changing?
You talking about this, my last transplant?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Jill and I have always been close.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been,
Always gotten along.
like as mother-daughter.
Yeah.
So before, I just say we had a loving relationship, mother-daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And during, it was a struggle for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it knit us closer together,
Mm-hmm.
after the fact. During was difficult for both of us.
The roles kind of.
There was one time when I had booked a 9-day, do you remember this?
The Vipassana?
Yeah, it was at Kripalu. I was going to do some training in Massachusetts, and I booked it, like you sort of book it months in advance. So it was coming up in May, and I was like, I don't know if I should go or not. And Jill was really sick, and I remember I was cradling you on the couch, and you said, "Mom, I want you to go." And she kept saying, "I think you should go. I think you should go. It'd be good for you." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I should go.
Yeah.
But I tore myself away and I did go.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really hard.
I do remember that now.
And my phone bill, like I hadn't bought any time while I was it's in the States, in Massachusetts. And I was phoning home, like I think my phone bill was like $500.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
When
I
I got
remember
back,
that now.
because I would, at my breaks, I would phone and I
Yeah.
would talk to her like for half an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, so it was just like,
Yeah.
but we made it through that. And
Yeah, I think we realized a lot of our similarities when we were sick, not just like physically,
Mm-hmm.
being told that we have like the same veins in the same place
Yeah.
and the same like, I don't know,
it was-
anatomy
but
kind
it
of.
was bizarre.
Yeah.
So, oh, your veins are just like your mother's.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
But not just that, but the I think the way we handled things and we realized we're a lot alike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we did struggle with the roles a little bit of like you said earlier, you were trying to be
Look after you.
mom, but not unwell yourself, and I was also trying to support her, but also being very sick.
Mhm.
And we're both irritable because we're not feeling well, and I think there were some struggles there. And then I remember after, you wanted to take care of me so bad, but because I had my transplant, I felt like I want to do it myself, and there was like frustration there with like, Mom, I'm okay now.
Yeah. That's tough though, right?
Yeah.
Seeing each other, because you guys love each other,
Yeah.
sick and then better,
And
but
the
you're like,
sickness
let them go
sometimes,
too. Yeah.
For me, was a bit of a roller coaster. Like
Mhm.
I would feel good. They would patch me up for a while because I had complicated issues, and then I would go down, and then I'd come back up again. Where Jill just kind of went steadily
Yeah.
on a downward
Yeah.
slope. But so there was times when I was able to help her out, like drive her to appointments and stuff like that, and then there was times when I couldn't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was a challenging time for sure. But I think after all that dust settled, after we had both had our transplants, that's when we could really just express how grateful we were to be alive and well
Yeah.
again together. And it was like a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We still discover things that are like like we'll like the same thing or buy the same thing or show up at the same thing or just there's a lot of similarities.
That's good.
between us.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of post everything here, you just did your swim. How long ago was it? At the World Transplant Games?
The World Transplant Games were in August. They ran from the 17th to the 23rd. Yeah, I did pretty good.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how good? I don't. How good are we talking about here?
So I entered 5. You can enter 5 events. So
Yeah.
I decided I'd focus on my swimming because that's my favorite. So I won 5 gold medals and I set 5 new world records.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool thing. And to have Mom there was pretty special too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I was so proud of
Mom
her.
was at the
Yeah.
pool the 2 days
jeez.
of the swimming, and I think she might have been as nervous as I was
Oh.
especially the first
Yeah,
swim. You said
yeah.
once you got that first one out of the way, I could relax. I'm like, you felt better.
I did. Well, she just blasted it out of the water. It was, like,
Yeah.
it was awesome.
So I've had you on the podcast a few times now,
Yeah.
and last time was before your games there, and we talked about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So you wrote something interesting about, I think somebody asked you about your mindset after these making 5 world records, if you're gonna swim like the next day or whatever it was.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that?
Yep.
So it was really interesting that you were more hungry. Like, I'm similar in a way, so I want to hear what your thoughts are on after you did 5 world records.
Yeah.
You're even more hungry and you're ready to get back at it
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So, like, my clients, my friends, my family, the people around me, my swim mates, like, they're like, oh, so you're going to take it easy now. And this was like the rest of the summer. And the end of the summer is really like off season. And I'd be like, no, like I'm like more motivated now than ever to keep training because I feel like I've set the bar now at a level for
Yeah.
not just for others, but mainly for myself. And yeah, I took like maybe a couple weeks. I was still swimming every day.
Mhm.
Like I didn't swim maybe as hard as if I was training for something that was coming up, but I didn't want to I don't want to just
Yeah.
I don't want to lose the fitness. I don't want to
Yeah.
lose the energy and the excitement that I have because I felt more motivated and inspired to do my best and keep getting, like you say all the time, get better every day.
Yeah.
After the games. And yeah, I did post on social media because people kept asking me, so I'm like, I'm just gonna put it out there. And I put a picture of myself on
Yeah.
the block at the pool and said, so people are asking me, are you gonna take a break now since you've done this at the games? And the answer is no. Like
Nope.
I'm gonna keep training and I have goals now. I actually wrote out my goals like the day after my competition, after I've won the 5 medals, and I wrote out my goals for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
And I just felt really motivated and just driven to keep going in that direction. And initially I wasn't planning on going to I shouldn't say I wasn't planning, but I wasn't excited about going to Houston for the next World Transplant Games. It wasn't like a place that seemed really exciting to me, but now I don't really care where it is. I want to go.
You're taking over.
Yeah,
Taking over
yeah.
everyone.
And now I'm looking at all the positives. I'm like, Houston's not that far away. I
Yeah.
can fly there. I'm not changing time zones or.
Yeah.
So-
What people can really learn from you, and what I really appreciate about you, is that you're looking long term, right? I see time and time again where people do something super amazing, but that's it. And then
Yeah.
they get on this depressing thing where, everybody's not like, oh, you're the best, you're the greatest, because it's going to come down, right? So you got to keep moving, like you said, get
Keep
better.
moving forward,
Yeah,
yeah.
just keep getting better, because what are you in it for, right? To make yourself better, and
Yeah.
it's all part of your legacy and your story,
Yeah.
right?
And it's not all about the medals. I mean, that's great, and
Yeah.
like the records are amazing, but I know that the training that I put in impacts not just my physical body, but my mental state too. Like I love the discipline and the practice of getting up in the morning and doing my routine and going to the pool and overcoming that hard workout, and then I feel like fantastic for the rest of the day because I've done this like hard thing where I pushed myself where I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, and my coach knows my goals and he helps push me, and I feel like that's what I'm training for, is to become not just a better swimmer, but like the practice of swimming and the discipline behind it makes me a better person.
And unlocking your best self, right?
Yes, yes. So that's what drives me to do it. That's why I do it. And the world records and the medals and the events and competition is just the bonus and sort of like the not the landmark, but like the measuring stick that kind of shows me that I am moving forward and I have something to train for,
And it's fun.
And it's fun, and I get to test myself against others, and
has
I
to
think
be
that's
fun,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
Otherwise, why would I go do it every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to keep you in it.
Yeah.
Right? You see some people's training, they're so miserable.
Yeah, and they're like,
but they're good at it, but they're so miserable. I'm like, how am I going to do it and be miserable, right? It's like a job that you really, really hate. What's that doing for you, right?
Yeah.
Spiritually, mentally, and all that, right?
Yeah.
So, back to you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
So you've been running a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah. So you ran at the games too?
I did.
Yeah.
I ran and I swam.
Oh, you swam too?
I
Okay.
did.
Anyway.
I just thought I'd jump in the pool and see.
Yeah.
I actually came in 4th in my...
You told me that.
I know.
Nice.
I didn't even know that. I looked up the numbers later on and was like, oh. I mean, my times weren't great, but yeah. And
your times were good.
Were they?
Mom ran a 5K road race in under 40 minutes. I think that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of women my age that run that pace, so I think that's something to be proud of.
I was happy about it. Like it was a tough race too. It was really super windy that day. Like the conditions make such a difference as well when you're outside, but it was super windy. It was just like but yeah, I was happy. Like I'm happy to finish, and I'm not a runner though. I wouldn't call myself a runner, but
stepping out of your element though, right?
Yeah.
And doing different things. We were just talking about Jillian stepping out. We'll get back to that in a sec, but every time I see you, this is a similarity between you two, is that you guys are both trying to get better any which way. Can you talk about the importance of strength training nowadays and yoga and...
Well, for me as a senior, strength training is really important because you lose muscle mass when you get older. But I just want to get stronger.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for ways. Jill's husband, my son-in-law Zach, he's helping me out. I just want to be as strong as I possibly can be, and my age is just a number, and I want to what's the word? I don't want it to be a factor
Are you listening to people?
in how I live my life.
Yeah.
I want to just do whatever I want to do for as long as I can, in the best way I can.
Have you, like people around your age, with the amount of excuses they have you told them, like have you talked to them yourselves, or?
A lot of people
that want to get better. That's what I meant.
A lot of the people, my friends, are like-minded, really, because a lot of my friends are at the Y. They're doing their best to stay strong and healthy around our age. I don't preach to people who aren't
willing to help themselves,
no,
right? Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do that.
You set your best example, though.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I do, but I don't do it for them. I'm doing it so I can be healthy.
Yeah.
And I think I owe it to the people that supported me as I was sick so much, and I owe it to my surgeon and to my nurses and all the people who supported me, my family and my friends, and it goes on and on, the number of people. I think I owe it to them too, to live a healthy life and be be as best I can.
I love that. I love that.
Take
He's,
it,
like
yeah.
every time I talk to her, I talk about you as the good example and other people as bad example. But yeah, you're very inspiring. So it's very
I'm
cool.
not perfect either. Don't.
Who is though?
By
right?
any means.
Who
yeah.
is though? But you lead by an amazing example. So, Jillian, back to swimming here. You're gonna do. When are you gonna do the Alcatraz?
Oh
swim?
yeah. Mom just found out about that.
Oh jeez.
Zach told her.
Yeah.
The swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco, that is happening in June of
Yeah.
2020.
Can you talk about that swim?
That's what I'd be scared of.
Yeah. I researched a little bit about
Oh, did you?
I didn't.
Alcatraz
I don't,
swim.
I don't want to know.
Can you talk about like how it came to be? Like why
Why?
does it exist?
I think it exists because I haven't done probably a ton of research on it. I think it exists because it was like known to be like this impossible thing because people wanted to escape from Alcatraz, but they
Which is a prison.
which is a
Yeah.
prison in San Francisco
Mhm.
or just off of San Francisco. It's a little island, and like no one was able to escape.
They never made it to shore.
They didn't make it to shore because of the current and the sharks, apparently.
Apparently.
So, but this is an event. It's an event that happens. It's been going on for 30 years. People, it's not like I'm just jumping in the water and doing it myself.
I know,
It's
I
going to
know.
be it's sanctioned, and there's going to be like people there that make sure nothing bad happens. But the reason I'm doing it is I have a friend of mine that I swim with on my team, and she does awesome stuff too. She's a crazy endurance athlete. She does half Ironman. She did 2 of those this summer. She just ran a half marathon. She asked me if I wanted to do it with her, and I hesitated just because of the name of the event. They call it the Shark Fest.
I didn't know
Alcatraz
that.
something, and I said,
I
"Why
didn't
is it
know
called
that."
that?" And then she said, "Oh, it's been going for so long. Nobody's
Yeah.
been eaten by a shark." And I said, "Okay, sign me up. I'm going to do it."
Mhm.
So I just think it's a cool challenge. It's an ocean swim. I've done lots of open water swimming, but never in an ocean. And the challenge is, I think the biggest challenge for me will be the temperature of the water. It's going to be between 58 degrees and 62. So that's wetsuit. Yeah, I'm going to need to wear a wetsuit.
How are you gonna go about training for this?
So the swim training I'm not concerned with whatsoever. It's 1.5 miles. So that's about 3 kilometers. So
1.6.
so the cold exposure is maybe what I'm gonna have to do. So I plan to. I've already been having some cold showers after my swim. But I think I might have to do some lake swimming in the
Yeah.
early spring just to get acclimatized to swimming
Yeah.
with a
maybe-
wetsuit and in cold water.
Maybe research a little bit of Wim Hof.
Yes,
Method,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm very aware of what he does.
Yeah.
And I know of some athletes that use his breathing techniques.
Yeah.
Not even for cold water, but
Yeah.
just for like
In general.
in
yeah.
general
That's
for
great.
yeah. So that is something that I should probably look into doing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So both you girls give back to the community a little bit through
Mm-hmm.
inspiring people, but
Yeah.
you guys done a couple runs lately and held some events and helped out.
Yeah. So I've kind of stopped running. My body doesn't like it, my feet and my hamstring.
Mhm.
But I have been a part of the annual Transplant Trot, which is a 5K run, 3K walk that happens every year in April. I have been the race director for that event. Mom and I have also helped our friend Andy with the Night of Blues, which is a fundraiser for the transplant unit.
Mhm.
And we it's a night of music, and we raise money with silent auction and ticket sales, and the proceeds go to help patients in need through
It
our
actually
patient
goes.
assistance
It goes
fund.
to the families of the patients. So when families have to come to the hospital to take care of their family member, it helps them with things like parking and maybe
lodging, if they're out of town.
food, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's
And-
expensive if you're
Yeah.
out of town.
Yeah. On this past Sunday, I spoke at a fundraiser for, it was called the Liver Up Brunch. Our friend Ken Hinton puts it on. That was the 10th year. I think it was the final year. I gave a speech about my journey before my transplant and after my transplant. So
And donor awareness.
in donor awareness, and that almost raised $10,000.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Started.
partially due to her speech.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was,
Wow.
everybody was,
Yeah. Everybody, I think, was pretty touched.
I think so.
I had lots of people come up to me after. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
She did a good job.
And tell me that, they're a little bit speechless, actually. People didn't really know what to say, but they said it was really well done. And yeah, it was kind of cool.
You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing.
Thanks.
I just want to talk about. So you guys are amazing, and you surround yourself with amazing people, like you said. When I asked you about people your age and helping them out, and you said you're surrounded by those people because that's all you hang out with is people who want to help themselves, right?
Mostly, yeah.
Can you guys talk about how important it is to create an environment where you just have just amazing people around you that want to do better things, and starting to wean out some negative people or people who want to drag you down or people who aren't for you, right?
Yeah, that's challenging.
It is.
I think I've talked about this before, but really just try to engage with the people that lift you up and are sort of like-minded, and not that I would ever ignore anyone, but there are people that come into your life that you probably rather not spend. You wouldn't choose to spend your time around, but you just have to keep the engagement minimal and be a nice person, but maybe not ask them to hang out or.
Yeah.
It's hard when you get to, for me, when you get to a place in your life and you've known people for a really long time, like maybe 50 years, and you grow apart from those people, like gradually, not just by distance, but by your mindset, like
Yeah,
you
of
say.
course, yeah.
And so for me, it's really hard to pull away because it's just been a long time habit
Yeah.
to be with those people,
Yeah.
and it's really hard to kind of change or move away from those people. But I think I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
really,
It's definitely tough.
it is tough, and there's not that many people like that, like in your life, right?
Yeah.
They come along, or they've been there,
Mhm.
and so I do too try to just
Keep being yourself.
connect with the people who lift me up, and
Want to be better. And,
yeah.
Speaking of that, who inspires you? Who motivates you? What motivates you? You guys can look at each other. Okay?
Well, Joe, I'm just looking into the distance,
Yeah.
trying to. I don't know. Like, I think Jill motivates me and impresses me. I'm very proud of her, and I think, wow, she does. She's and Jenny too. So, two strong women.
She was talking
Both-
about you before we
both
even
my
started, by the
Oh.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
About
both my daughters are. I'm proud of them, and they support me and make me want to do more. I can't think of a celebrity type of person who.
Wow.
Wow, what's that mean?
I don't know. They're. I mean, celebrities are good people too, but
Yes.
their
Well,
their
not-
life. It's not like we really know them.
No.
We know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
I think the inspiration comes from the people that you spend your time with and the people that you
Love.
sort of love and that you're around. I'm inspired by you, by Mom, because I've seen you go through a lot and overcome it and continue to just keep going and being strong. And my husband Zach inspires me a lot too. Like, he's a really strong person, and mentally he's just like very clear, and there's no like shit there. Like, he's
Yeah.
just Zach,
Yeah.
and you can always expect Zach to show up.
Yeah.
And
We'll get him on here.
yeah,
By the way,
we'll have
one
to
day,
convince
one
him
day,
one of these days.
one day, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Zach is amazing too. But that's exactly what I mean. Like, every time I see you guys just surround yourself with these
Yeah.
beautiful people, right?
Yeah, and
So
I
that's
think
really cool.
that's important. I do think it's important because I've probably said this, but you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with,
Mhm.
and that seems so true to me, because I see us humans as like these things that just become like whatever we're around, and I'm like, I don't want to spend time around that because I don't want to start acting like that.
Yeah.
So I'm very like aware of
That's so true though. Like we're creatures of adapting, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
yeah,
Like, you lift weights, you get stronger, right? You same thing with your mind and
yeah, you
people
think these
surround
thoughts,
yourself
and then
with, right?
you
Yeah.
think more of those thoughts, and you eat this food, and then you become that food, and you
Yeah.
surround yourself with negative people, and then you start thinking and acting like them. So
That's the worst.
yeah,
That's the worst one.
yeah, and
That's what I was talking about, the habitual people that have been in your life for a long time. And you might be doing really well and growing and getting
Mhm.
stronger and more happy or whatever, and then you spend some time with that person.
and then you almost get
And
dragged
you
back
get,
into it.
even my language sometimes changes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like,
I catch myself doing that all the time.
and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and at least there's an awareness now for
Mhm.
me. Like, it took me a long time, but
Yeah.
there's an awareness of myself, and I'm going, that observer in me is going,
Oh,
you don't want to be this way.
Yeah.
You don't.
And some, with those people too, sometimes you don't blame them, because
No.
sometimes they think you're in the same, because they are in the same spot. They think that your mind hasn't grown, or
That's
exactly. Yeah.
It's
That is-
tough.
That is so true.
that's why I don't blame them, and that's why it's sometimes hard to let them go too. My wife
Exactly.
hates
There's
that, but sometimes it's hard to let people go when they're not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there were good times, and when you're at each stage of your life, when you go from not having kids to having kids, that's the difference too,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
whatever stage, right?
Yeah.
So-
There's a connection there, and it's hard to just chop it off
Yeah.
completely, and nor do you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anything, you want to help them along, but
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
you can't always do that, and they're not always willing.
And that's the tough part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't always bring everyone along. You can't force them to change. And when they don't see that you've changed, and they expect you to be like the person that you once were,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it gets really hard, because you just want to be yourself around them, but there's this like, I feel like I can't, because they don't understand, and they don't get it,
Yeah.
and that's
It
not
might
what
even-
they expect
It might
of you.
even be insulting to them if you. I don't know. Maybe you think too much about it. You should just be yourself. Like, be Zach.
Yeah.
Just be true.
Yeah.
This is me, like it or not.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it though, right?
Yeah.
Before we close this off, I just wanted a tip for the audience and for myself too, is when life seems really, really down, how do you guys pick yourself up, or what kind of things can you do to change your mindset a little bit?
I just don't lose hope.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I try not to lose hope.
Yeah.
Like, tomorrow's another day, and just keep breathing.
Yeah, I like that. Little yoga tip too, right?
A little yoga tip,
Yeah.
but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, just take it moment to moment
Mhm.
I like that.
and make a cup of tea.
Yeah, there we go.
Honestly, like,
Or
just,
coffee, right?
just
So-
do one
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do the next thing,
Yeah.
and don't try not to project too far into the future.
Mhm.
Just stay
Yeah, because sometimes when you're in a negative thing, people project that negative to like, oh, is it always going to be bad?
Well,
like
my
this,
life is
right?
ruined. Yeah, my
Yeah.
life is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of like I'm gonna be, whatever for the rest of my life or whatever.
Mhm. But you can always change.
Yeah. Well, you always will.
Yeah,
you can
that's it.
count on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jillian?
Yeah, kind of similar to what Mom said. Realize that whatever's going on is temporary,
Mhm.
and it's not going to be awful forever. And just to take the time, like I know when I'm stressed and there's stuff going on, I like to take some time for myself. I like to have an evening or a weekend to not do anything, be by myself or with Zach and my dogs, and just kind of reflect on what I am grateful for and focus on the good stuff.
Yeah.
And like to spend some time outside, because I think being outside is instead of just being in the house, and I don't know, I feel like being outside, it makes you realize how small we are, and that kind of brings things back into perspective for me too.
So a lot of reflecting there, right?
Yeah, and realize that my problem is probably it's something, obviously it's making me feel a certain way, but it's probably pretty insignificant compared to like how big everything else is, and be grateful, remind myself of what I'm grateful for, and
That helps.
Yeah.
and not try to dwell and project into the future, but not to dwell on the negative, and sometimes that can be really hard, but realize that it's temporary and you'll get through it.
Yeah, that's great tips.
Mm-hmm.
Great tips. Do you guys want to plug anybody, maybe the donor, or any events coming up or anything like that?
What is coming up? The Night of Blues is coming
Night
up.
of Blues is coming up in January. It'll be at the London Music Club.
Okay.
The last Saturday. I'm not sure what that falls on.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
We'll get all the information and we'll put
We'll
it
link
in
it
the
up.
in the
Okay.
show notes and everything.
Sure.
How do they get a hold of you, Jillian? Because you're very inspiring. And
They could get a hold of me, and then I could then direct them to the guy who's selling the tickets this year. His name is Andy Moncrief. My email would be JillianBest87@gmail.com. And of course, always register to be an organ donor. Be a donor.ca. Yeah, register your wishes to become a hero. Save a life like ours.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll put all their links to Instagrams, Facebooks, or whatever you guys want. And thank you so much for being on here.
It's our pleasure.
I'm super inspired right now.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me.
Appreciate you. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
See ya.